Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hey, 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 it's the phenomenal STEMist. I am so excited about this conversation. I have a lot of people on. Brandon, where's your video, my friend? Where's your
I'm
video, my
coming.
man?
I'm coming, girl. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm just fresh off the road. We just came back from Tampa, so I'm putting it together. I'm putting it together.
Appreciate it, Brandon. I hear you great, and that's all that matters. I am so happy to be here. Listen, we have an all-star panel when it comes to finance, wealth, education. Listen, before I get into the conversation, I have to do my homework. And I definitely want you guys to plug your businesses, plug the things that you are doing. You know, I'm going to do it. And what I'm going to talk about right now is The Phenomenal STEMist. You can find the book on Amazon right now. And please, 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 please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's you see at the bottom right there is scrolling from side to side. Listen, here's the all-star panel. Here's the all-star panel that we have today. I told you guys I'm coming with the heat. I learned this from Brandon Ford. He said fourth quarter living. Fourth quarter living.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
we're about to engage the community like never before to really, really help with the wealth gap. I have Dr. Ken Stewart, Health is Wealth. I have Kevin Plauché, How Money Works. I have Dr. Uona T, Data Science and Technology is the Future. I have Dulani Williams, Accountant Extraordinaire, Options Trader Finance all the way. I have Brandon Ford, B Ford. Uh, what's your tagline again? B
Closes. B Ford
closes.
closes.
B Ford closes.
Tell a
Real
friend.
estate development brokerage. Listen, I'm excited to talk about the future. And so once again, thank you guys for showing up. You guys can just greet me the way you feel it. Go ahead. Where y'all at?
Well, listen. I'm first off. I'm humbled. Thank you for allowing me to be here with to shine amongst all these diamonds. Honestly, I feel like more of a mirror than an actual diamond. I'm just shining because everybody else up on here is shining, man. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Blessed to be in y'all company.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh wow, the background. I'm loving it.
I forgot to put it on.
We see it, we see it.
We're enlightening minds today, y'all.
That
We're
is
enlightening
what it
minds.
is all about. No, and I'm excited to be here with all of these really amazing, brilliant, driven, focused individuals. It just feels good to be in the proverbial room with people who share my ambitions, my goal, my dreams to educate us, whether that's financial education, health education, about the stock market, about all of the different opportunities. Because I feel like, for me, I'm only now understanding finance. Sadly, I have a doctorate and I'm only now understanding finance. That's how bad it is. So I'm really looking forward to learning from, the rest of the crew, and hopefully we all can take this to the next level together. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Ken, what's up?
Yes. Hey, Dr. Byfield, thank you for taking the time to invite me on to be with a crowd of like-minded individuals that can discuss and talk about how we can be able to move move further, move higher. So thank you for taking the time to connect with me, and I look forward to learning, but also discussing how we can make changes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Jelani, you're in the house. I
So
see
happy to be here,
you.
Dr. Byfield. So it's a pleasure every time to be on your show. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I would like to say hello to all the other guests that are the panel guests that are here. I'm humbled to be in your presence. I One of the things that Dr. Byfield, Maya, and I share is our quest for financial freedom. And this is one of the things that I always focus on primarily when it comes to investing. I don't look at it from a how much your ROI should be, how much money should be in your account. The question is, how free are you?
Yeah,
Can you do the things? I mean, at the end of the day, that's where we want to take it. And I am so happy to be part of this discussion so that we can share, we can break bread, we can feed off of each other. So again, thank you.
yeah. Last but not least, Kevin, did you say anything? I can't remember.
Not yet,
Kevin, what's
not yet,
up?
not yet,
Did you say
not yet.
something already?
Always,
Okay, go ahead.
and it's always a pleasure to team up with you, because you always bring in the heat when it comes on to helping from point A to point B to get their children into the right fields, into the fields of tomorrow. You're also promoting my passion, which is financial literacy. So we always have great conversations, and you just took our conversations to the public. Now we get to share what we always talk about when we're always together. So I appreciate it. I'm humbled to be a part.
Let's go. Let's go. As I said before, I come on here all the time, every Monday. I've been doing this for, I can't believe it's like almost 10 years I've been doing this. And people in my group, Phenomenal Financial Freedom, they have lots of testimonies on how our group has brought them out of a low net worth, a underwater net worth, and I'm so proud of what Phenomenal Financial Freedom has done as a group level. And I only did it based on things that I just shared from the internet. I am a novice when it comes to finance. It's not what I do. I'm a scientist by trade. So I'm figuring, like, you know what? It's time that I start bringing people to the party and literally sharing, our perspective. So I really, really want to talk today about the wealth gap in the African American community and how this show through the next quarter can really facilitate through different means. So I have Dr. Ken Stewart. He's a public health professional. He has a doctorate in public health. We're gonna be coming with health is wealth. I'm gonna the first Monday of the month before it closes is gonna. I don't think we have a slogan before it, but it's gonna be about real estate. On the third,
Let's go.
yeah, let's go. On the third Monday of the month, Dr. Iona is going to be helping me discuss the role of technology and being relevant in technology, because I feel relevance in technological spaces is
Mhm.
very important to lowering the wealth gap. And of course, the last Friday of the month, wealth management, being able to know outside of the typical real estate, having your house, having some money in the savings account. There's a lot more involved. Delani's going to come with it in helping me uh, understand that, right? So we had, and then Kevin, how money works, he's going to be coming from time to time whenever he has a schedule to be a part, to just promote his business, as well as help us understand from the depths how money works and
Mhm.
how we can really, really, really engage our communities and make them more financially literate. So the future is great, and it's not just going to be me. That's that's the key thing, because with one you can go so far, but with a village, I mean, it's going to be exponential. If
Come
I got
on.
people out of death and out of debt with my little sharing of videos and stuff, can you imagine what the future will hold when all of us get together? It's going to be explosive, it's going to be exponential. So, thank you once again for being on. Let's get into this concept of the wealth gap. So, I sent
Okay, I
you.
just want to give that quotation because it's such a profound one. If you want to go fast, go alone.
That's
But
Hmm.
if
right.
you want to go far,
Go
go together.
together.
Together,
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
together. That's critical. So thank you guys for wanting to be a part with me. And I feel like this is gonna help us personally develop our own personal programs, to really, really impact our community. So
Mhm.
um a few of you already have your own YouTube channels and your own podcasts, and a few of you want to get into it a little bit. So I just know this is going to be a training ground, an explosive birthing ground, for your individual futures as well. So let's look into this concept of the wealth gap, right? So I put this. I don't know if you guys in the background, those of you who watching, feel free to chat, put your comments in the chat, put your questions in the chat. But I saw this chart. I can't exactly remember exactly where I got it from. I think it was the World Economic Forum, I believe. The most recent one.
The U.S. Census. U.S. Census.
The US Census. That's okay. US Census. You sure? Did I get it from the US Census, this figure? I don't know. Did I tell you I got it
Yeah,
from the U?
I got it.
Yeah.
I found it.
Okay. Okay. So US Census. Yeah. So that's real. US www.census.gov, and it was talking about wealth inequality by household. I want you to look at the wealth inequality when it comes to African Americans and Latinos as compared to their white and Asian counterparts, right? So, just to remind you, those of you who watch me a lot know what a net worth is. Your net worth is basically your assets minus your liabilities. How much you own, truly, right? Asians have the highest net worth in America, $206,400. Whites are next in line with $187,500. Latinos are next with $31,700. And blacks alone, meaning like black and not Hispanic, they have a net worth of $14,100. 14,100.
Hmm.
I believe this is the median net worth.
Right, and as the statistics instructor here, I need to break that down. They didn't say the mean or the average because of all of the extremities and outliers could skew that middle value. So they've chosen instead the median value to give you a representation of where the
Most
middle of
people.
it is. So there's a range, but on average, using that as a cliche, the Asians, their median household is 206,000, right? And in that range, whereas for white Americans, the median household earning is 187,000, compared to Hispanics, their median household earnings is only 31,000, and for blacks, the median household, the value that represents the middle of the earning range for blacks is 14,000. That's dire.
Yeah, yeah. It's a dire gap. It's a dire gap, guys. And this is where I want to really look at this. So it's the earnings and not the net worth. Actually, that's that what you're saying? I think if I remember, it might be the earnings. You're right. It's the earnings, right?
And
Go ahead and check it out. So look at the educational levels. Look at the educational levels. $408,700 if you have a professional or graduate degree. If you have no college degree, you're making $59,700. You see the difference, right?
yeah,
Look at the difference in the context of education. Now, there's this big push right now, especially amongst our community, sharing amongst each other, saying, "Oh, we don't need this, and we don't need a college education. We don't need a college education. We don't need education. We could just work." I want you to look at the numbers in comparison, right? I never hear Asian Americans and white Americans push this kind of mindset. Rather, if you want to real get deep with it, let's think of, I want your perspective of affirmative action. What do you think affirmative actions role of removing African Americans and diversity, equity, inclusions uh parts of higher education? What do you think that will do to the wealth gap?
mm,
That's my first question. Do you think there was a role in that, especially where the people who are taking us to court are white and Asian Americans? The higher education they're taking to court. They obviously believe that they don't want to have to compete with others for education. Am I making this up, or what do you think?
No, absolutely not. That's exactly what it is. The Asian Americans were the ones who first brought the claim, but it was taken up and funded by a conservative watch group, and I don't know exactly the name, but their affiliation gives a clear understanding of what their motives are. And it wasn't about equality or any kind of representation. They just wanted to stop those who they thought were benefiting mostly from that type of some kind of assistance, as they saw it. And it's sad because the statistics show that the group that benefits the most from affirmative action
White women.
are white women.
That's right.
So they were willing to, as they say, cut off their nose to spoil their face. I forget the expression, but you know what I mean. They were willing to sacrifice their women to stop us from having what they thought were unfair advantages. Which
So it seems that education, looking at these numbers here and looking at the wealth gap in comparison to these numbers, it seems like education really does make a difference in the level of wealth that someone has. Am I just making that up, or what? I'm gonna take the chart off and see what you guys have to say so I can get your faces a little closer.
no, I think you're spot on because look at all of us here. We have education, and that education allowed us to do more than if you didn't have education. So I think education is a ticket to be able to provide for yourself, to be able to close that wealth gap from a business perspective. From a health perspective, it allows you to purchase better options for food. It allows you to get better health care. It allows you to live certain places which can help to reduce your stress. So I think everything stems from how much money you can make but also it stems from first and foremost from education.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think education is important. I don't think it's the only thing. Like, you can have an education and still make poor financial decisions. However, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Education is the foundation. It was the foundation for me. I needed it to give me a very great stable position so then I can build in my financial literacy on top of it. And you'd be surprised, my number one educational certificate, I really believe, is that high school diploma. Majority of people who don't graduate with a high school diploma will live in poverty, so at least get that. That's why I have a free GED program. If you need a GED and you need help studying for it, like, get that going. All right, Brandon, thanks for coming. I know you have to do a run real quick. I'll be
Well,
thinking about you. All
all
right.
right, guys. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So the next concept.
But before you move off of that piece about the education, right? So I don't want it to be lost, the fact that yes, there are times when following the path could be didn't live up to the hype. You know what I mean? You went to school, you went to college, you got the degree, and you're still struggling.
Right.
But looking at those numbers, and I'm a statistician, the probability of you being in a certain income bracket without an education is, I mean, it's compared to with an education. I mean, there's no question. Absolutely. Your chances are way better with the education. But it's not just in terms of the earning potential. It's as I think Dr. Ken was alluding to, getting the education is a preparation. It's the foundation. It's something that we can build on, right? Because we learn the discipline, we learn some we understand better how the systems work. Then we also have better insight to navigate our way through different industries, just like you might be able to go into areas that you may not have necessarily been educated in, but now that you have gotten your degree, you know how to learn. And
Yeah,
that's
you know
the
how to learn.
biggest thing that education teaches you, right? So too many people say, oh, I don't want to, college is overrated, blah, blah, blah. But then what are they doing as an alternative, right? If you're saying, you know what, I'm going to educate myself, because you have to get educated one way or the other, whether conventionally or not. You have to get the education, otherwise you're going to be passed off and passed over. So either you're going to educate yourself, or you're going to go to school and get the education that way.
Yeah.
But many of us, myself included, we lack the discipline, we lack the structure, we lack the what's the accountability to, because you say you're going to do this, and because there is no one to check upon you to make sure that you are following through, then you don't. So that's what education and schooling helps you to. And I'm a firm believer in it, even more so now, because I went from believing in education to not believing in education, and now I'm back to believing in education.
Trust
Yeah.
us. Trust us.
This-
Yeah,
and there's
yeah,
one.
yeah. Dylan,
Could,
you wanted to say
could,
something?
could I? Could I? Yeah.
Go ahead,
Could
Kevin.
I add
Yeah,
one
go
more
ahead.
point to that as well? So we also have to acknowledge that is levels to education as well. And what I mean by that is we're talking about the wealth gap. The communities that have those higher learning education, where do they go to school matters just as much. When
Mm,
we talk about schools in our communities, are they the best options for our children to learn the way that they need to learn, right? If you don't have the money to send your children to a learning experience, That's part of the wealth gap as well, right? If we look at who's teaching our children, and not to downplay, conventional learning, but if your child needs special or more, more help, you're not going to get that in the system. You have to pay for that. Well, if you don't have the resources to pay for that, or you don't live in the communities that have the, better school systems, even in the level of education that you get can be different, right? So
And I,
we have to this is why financial matters so much. And one of the things that we also know is that they do not teach financial literacy in schools, and that is by design. So we have to
and
recognize that and fill that gap, as it relates to how do we even the education systems in our communities. And the only way to do that is make sure that we all have the education and are aware that our systems need help, and then do what we need to do to fix that.
For sure. Duhani, go ahead, and then go ahead, Doctor. You can respond after that. Go ahead.
So the thing that I want to explore also is not just the education component, at least because when we look at education, there's also the cost of education. It's a balancing act. And I think what makes the educational experience from a financial standpoint feel detrimental is when the cost of education is higher than the value that you derive from the workforce. So it's that harmony that gets out of whack, and
Yeah.
it creates a difficulty to be able to generate wealth. Now, for many people who are educated, that's what they lean on. They say, okay, I'm educated. Now I will go make money. As I earn my money, I will save. As I save, I create the gap. I create I create profit, not profit, but I generate wealth that I can then
Close the gap.
retire from, create some sort of financial legacy for my family. And that's a fantastic concept. But the challenge is now, as we pursue traditional learning at a time where the cost of learning is its highest, interest rates, the borrowing costs are the highest that they'll ever be. We now have to look for other ways in which we uh, earn,
Mm-hmm.
because it's through that earning, it's through that other avenue that we then give ourselves a fighting chance. And I did some interesting things looking at, did some research, and I found it so interesting that we have an abundant amount of information on various platforms like Pew, uh, or even Fred, the Federal Reserve economic data. They collect data on everything, but they don't collect data on entrepreneurship. They
Mm.
collect every single piece of education data you need to know how much people with a college degree earned, how much people with a bachelor's degree, how much people with no degree earned. They have every single piece of data under the sun, but they have no data to share on entrepreneurship. And that is something that we need to explore, because when you talk about topics like affirmative action, well, affirmative action is very important, but it's very difficult to quantify the success of affirmative action because we have not seen large
Large
populations
amounts of.
benefit of Black people in these PWIs that keep the percentage at 6%. I remember at one point I must have saw some crazy stat that 6% was the highest at one of the California universities, which ironically has such a large Asian population. They want to go to Harvard, but they're doing very well everywhere else. But that's
Right. That's
I'm a
beside the
little
point. But
bitter.
yeah,
I'm a little bitter
I'm a
on
little
that
bit on
topic.
it. But yeah,
You
I
know,
am
but
too. I am too.
yeah,
but when we
I,
look at wealth and generating wealth, it does not primarily come only from education. It also comes from other sources. And that's where, we need to develop other revenue streams. And the advantage that education, I believe, provides is it's structured learning. In a structured learning setting, you're able to learn how to learn.
Yes.
Not only learn how to
Oh man, we lost him. We lost him. Just cut off. Go ahead. I know you wanted to respond, Dr. Yuna. Go ahead and
Yeah, no,
respond.
that is like they're just kind of saying everything that I feel so strongly about, because Kevin was talking about um filling in the gap. Oh my goodness, that is so important. Several years ago, I read the book by Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. And
Outliers.
in that, he talked about the fact that there is such a difference in the achievement of different groups, whether it's by race or class or whatever, is not necessarily the schools that they attend, but what's happening at home. Or he emphasized what's happening when school is out, like if, for example, in the summertime or the break, right? Because there are certain groups when school is out, that's the end of learning until school gets back into session again. Whereas for other groups, that's the beginning of a whole new set of learning. So by the time they get back into the next session of school, the students who were in a certain class and can't afford to do anything else on the summertime, but that's not an excuse because they can go to the library and it's free, but they don't engage in any learning at all. So their learning actually goes down. Whereas the
Mhm.
other group of people, their education attainment goes up. So now they're coming back into the next session with the gap is already widening,
It's
and it
widening.
only gets worse as you go on. And so that's where the filling in of the gap is needs to happen with at home, with the parents, with what happens during the breaks, with providing information that the school is not going to provide, teaching things about finance and health and all these other things. The schools are not going to do that, but it's happening for certain groups outside of school, whether that's at church or other community organizations. So we need to focus with that's kind of where we need to do. We need to be about filling in the gap, like literally filling in the gap to close the gap, if you know what I mean. And so
Yes.
that's what that's what I was thinking. And even when what Dulani was talking about, that we have to realize about the discipline that's involved. And then there are lots of things that can prevent that discipline in a structured way. So um, whether we as the ones who have received the education, provide resources for the parents who may because of jobs or other responsibilities aren't just able to do that for their children, in terms of making sure they get what they need, they're performing well, they're getting the help, they're getting the tutoring, they're getting the resources or the guidance or the mentorship, or because a lot of students, young people, they don't know, they just don't know what they don't know, right?
But
And
the thing is, you know what's critical for me though? I feel like we have to get to the place, and I put this in one of my reels this week. No excuses, not even the good ones. We have got to get to the point where we educate our children no matter what. To your point, go to the library in the summertime, develop mechanisms. I have a STEM camp where it's only $20 a month. Like, but you'll pay for sneakers that cost 100 or $250. That's basically a lot of months of my program. That's 6 months of my program. 6 months of my program, right? We have to get to the place where we decide that we're going to do this no matter what. I really, really believe that there are, to Kevin's point, there's differences in education, but the community college system is the best kept secret in terms of affordability for education, in
Absolutely.
terms of getting
facts.
in terms of getting the certifications that you need. Listen, you have people that are of multiple demographics coming back to the state colleges and this community college system. So to get the best bang for their buck and to get the certification and the licensure that you need. It's really about the type of education that you get for the needs of the future versus just saying, I'm going to pay thousands of dollars just to say I have a bachelor's degree. That's not a good thing that you should do. Ken, I know you wanted to say something, and I'll come back to Delani. I saw your hand. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
a couple points. I know we started with education, and I think we may have done a disservice by just focusing on going to school.
Yeah.
Just go to school,
Facts.
just go, as opposed to saying, hey, you want to go into trade, do that. In New York, people go into trade, and then from that trade, they become an apprentice. Then after the apprentice, they start making like $80,000, $70,000 a year. So I think one way we can reduce or close the gap is say, okay, these are your options. Yes, you need education, but let's consider your options. You can go to a community college, get your basics in, get your prerequisites in, then transfer to a 4 year to finish your bachelor's, and then go on, or go into a trade. The second thing is, Kevin mentioned about services for your kids in certain communities where they may not have because of low property taxes. So we
Mm,
spoke about that, how that is connected, because if you have low property taxes, the high schools or schools, public schools, will get low property taxes. Thus, they may not be able to have the funds needed to provide for your kid who may need those services. Last but not least, entrepreneurship. Some of us here are entrepreneurs because we realize, hey,
school's
my
not enough.
my schooling, huh? School wasn't enough. Yes, I got my degree, but now with inflation, COVID, whatever, that's not enough. So let me hustle.
Yeah.
So if we are doing that with a degree, imagine the gap with somebody else who may not have been able to go to school or do that trade. So
Yeah, but I really believe that we close the gap with the diversity, the
of
education
course,
as the foundation, and then the financial literacy through multiple facets. Is that's what make, because I have more net worth than all of these Bamas, the whites, the Asians, the
Say
right?
that.
I don't, I don't, I don't have the $14,000 net worth, or etc. Right? And
yeah,
the reason why I don't
Yeah.
have that net worth is because I became financially literate. And I'm not
Yes.
here to brag, act like I never. I had a negative $4,000 net worth before I started Phenomenal Financial Freedom. Negative $4,000, meaning I had no house, I had a depreciable car, I had student loans, right? And within 10 years, because of the foundation of my education, and then I built on top of it financial literacy, getting out of debt,
yeah,
get rid of all interest rate debts, and moving out of the getting a property, getting all of that. I can have more net worth and close the gap. So it's possible. It's very, very possible, and it can happen quickly. But to your point, Ken, I don't think it would have happened as quickly if I didn't have my PhD. It was
right.
like
Yeah.
it
I,
was like my
I agree.
foundation.
Yeah,
Not to say you have to have a PhD, but I'm just saying if I didn't have my solid career, solid cash, money coming in, no fear of anything like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the
yeah,
confidence of knowing that you can
I think
learn anything that you're required to learn is that's what that gives you. But it took Ken's
Yeah.
point about not just focusing on the conventional education. And I say this all the time, and I feel like people are not hearing, and I want to shout it from the mountaintops. Harvard, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all of
Online.
these people have free courses, free certificates, free. When I say free, I mean FREE free. And Google has courses, and the statistics has shown that Google has hired tens of thousands of personnel who have taken these free courses and prepared themselves for jobs because they have openings, and they realize trying to only wait for people with degrees is not going to work for
Because
them.
people
So
are
they
trying to
say,
get all other kind of
but I
degrees and they don't want
but
the
I
tech
think
degrees. So go ahead,
but I,
Kevin.
but I think that's the misnomer right there. I think the misnomer is education means degrees. To Ken's point, when you get an education, you're learning, right? So if your learning ends up with you getting a certificate, and what everyone here knows is certificates are ruling the world days, right? Degree that you necessary education doesn't mean degree. Education means what certification do you have to for some hire you if you're going that route, and to Delani's point, or to become an entrepreneur with? What kind of foundation do you have to I have an expertise in this type of learning for me to not now to I can go and teach this, or I can be an entrepreneur in this, or I can work in this field in this. Bring out, which is a statistic that I always share with individuals. I say the average millionaire has the average of 7 streams of income. I'm gonna say that again. The average millionaire an average of 7 streams of income. So the reason why I love to share that statistic is because of the fact when I'm speaking with my clients and I'm sharing with them, and they're looking at their income and they're saying, man, we need to make some more income, or we need to change our expenses, and I to them so they can start to open up their minds to other streams of or other ways that they can create income. I think society has shared with us that the only way, or the best way, is working for someone else, right? But what you realize is that, especially in this technology driven world, people are making money in so many different ways these days. So so going over the first point again, is education doesn't mean degree. Education means you have a certification in some form learning that you can now apply to, whether that's a job or business or skill set, right?
I agree. I
And
agree with
then
what you're.
the last point, the last point I wanted
Continue.
to share also, go ahead. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to share is, if we go back, history tells us a lot as well. So if we go back in the early 1900s, we had 80% of people who owned their own business, and 20% worked for those individuals. Now that number has flipped. We have
Mm.
we have we have 20% who are business owners, and the 80% work for them. So and as you're beginning to see, there's a shift going. People are realizing, whether due to COVID and things of that nature, that they have more skills that they can put towards to create streams of income, making entrepreneurship the new, more and more popular. So I wanted to share those points.
So I'm in total agreement. Education doesn't mean degrees, but I don't want people to take what you're saying out of context to say I don't need a degree, right? I think because I
Absolutely.
want to go back
Absolutely.
to this. I want to go back to this chart again, right? Look at the gap for people who don't have a degree versus those who do. There is an extreme gap, right? The problem is that people with degrees just stay there, or they get highly expensive degrees. I have another chart that shows the reason why African Americans' net worth is so terrible, and it's comparable to when back in the 60s, when they didn't even have a college degree. They have the same similar net worth because they are taking out too much loans. They are not financially literate with their certification. They get their certification without financial literacy, and they spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars without, to Delani's point, a proper return on investment. So you got to be wise in the choosing of the degree. But trust me, whites and Asians, they're getting the degree. They're getting the degree, y'all. But on top of that, they're running things on top of that. They're financially literate. And of course, to Kevin's point, there are some systematic things that are bolstering them as well. So it's a very multifaceted story, and there's no one answer to to this issue, right? That's what we want to get into. So we're done with the education. What are some other things? I said where finance, health, real estate, right? I think those are and relevance in technology. Those are the other things that are important. And of course, as the gentlemen are bringing out, Dulani and Kevin, entrepreneurship, small businesses. These are the keys. Jelani, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, yeah, and I also want. I'm glad that you're segueing into some other topics because one of the things that we also have to understand that kind of speaks to why it's so important for financial literacy is understanding the challenges that we now face in this economic market. Uh, we have an economy right now that is mimicking, in many ways, what we called back in, I think that was called the lost generation. Are you familiar with that? Uh,
Yeah.
the years between 20, 2000 and 2010 were considered the lost generation. And this generation was named that because of these two reasons primarily. One, the value on homes dropped tremendously,
Drop like never
which was the
before.
source, right? Which was the source for many people's wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and income dropped. So people were earning less in the same positions than they were ever before.
Mhm.
And because incomes were dropping along with uh, the home
Housing.
values, the mortgage crisis that took
Mhm.
place, we have a situation where we lost a generation. Now, consider this today. So back in 2006, mortgages were 30% less. They cost 30% less. So if you bought a home that's $1 million, it was $700,000 back then. And I don't think that math is right, but it's close.
Mm.
And that's really what that's showing how costly things are today. In addition to that, interest rates are higher right now than they were in 2006.
Mhm.
Yeah.
2006 was the highest interest rate in that uh, lost generation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at what we're facing
Ah,
today,
we're back.
the challenges the challenge is much harder. We have to be aware. We have to be aware not just of educational needs, but we also have to be aware of how we spend our money. Whether a vacation is actually worth it. Uh, you know, the different things that we do that bleed our account. I love Starbucks, but come on, let's let's look at things. You know, Starbucks is mad expensive. I mean, the way that we spend our money has to be very careful because we're at risk of becoming the second lost generation.
Lost generation. Wow, that's
That's
And
why this
and
that's
financial
so
literacy
that's
is
but
so
but to
important.
that
sobering.
but to that point, yeah, but to that point, we have to realize, and we have to be aware of where that is coming from a societal standpoint, because we have to also know influences that come to have us spend, right? If you watch TV and you watch commercials, you would see majority of those commercials are urging you to spend.
Mhm.
So you have to know that going in, and then as a what I share with our with families as well is that you have to understand that you have to have goals for your family as well, financial goals, things of that nature. But when you talk about spending habits and things of that nature, those are things that has to be reviewed, whether that's on a monthly basis or whatever case may be, so that everyone is aware of what the financial goals are in your family. So you don't fall victim to those types of overspending and things of that nature, because that's where again we talk low in budgeting. So the basic understanding of financial literacy is again why you can fall into these traps, because once you don't know what you don't know, you're victim to what's 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 being
Making
what's being
mistakes.
presented to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So what I'm hearing so far, education is the foundation for sure, but it's not just the thing. And it's not just any education. Is you got to have some kind of certification, licensure that shows that you could do something with skill set, and it can't be overpriced. You got to have financial literacy. I'm hearing that you got to watch where your money's going. and you got to watch how people are targeting you to spend, 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 because we're mimicking something that we've seen before. That, I mean, these are sobering messages that I'm hearing. Ken, it sound like you want Ken, and then you wanna. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to just jump in and kind of just highlight Kevin and Dulani, and that is, hey, budget. Look at the interest rate is going up, so our cost to buy food is going to go up. So we have to now consider what do we need to do to cut costs. Google just fired a couple of thousand people. Amazon because they're cutting costs. So as a household, we need to do the same thing. Okay, I can't get Starbucks for the next 2 weeks because the not the interest rate, but the that term is going up.
inflation,
It's going
inflation.
thank you,
Inflation.
inflation. So I need to make some changes. I need to make adjustments, not just out there, but also in our household, so we can be able to still provide for our, still be able to cover our basic needs, and then adjust accordingly. So I think having that budget, making choices accordingly, living within our means, I think those are very important too. So I look forward to hearing more about Dulani and Kevin's take on how we can navigate through these trying times.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna learn it all quarter long. All quarter long. Dr. Yona, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that whole idea of being intentional. I work behind the scene as a data scientist, and I understand the power and the value of the data that we are generating every day, right? These people are taking the data we're generating and creating revenues in the billions. And so it's time for us. This has been one of my things that I've been talking about for a long time. We need to take back charge ownership of our data. We need to know what is happening with our data. One, that's a whole different thing about integrity and bias and all that. But as far as using our data, analyzing our data, and then getting the value from it that is there, and I made a video just Sunday talking about living intentionally, because we have all these apps, these Facebook and TikTok, and we think of them as free apps, but they're
Mhm.
not.
They're not free.
Right? Because they capture our attention and sell it to the highest bidder.
Hmm.
And they analyze our data to the minutest of degrees to know exactly how and when. That's how Amazon makes billions. That's how Netflix makes billions. They analyze our data and then feed us what they think, will either engage us, keep us on the site, make us spend money, all of that. And we need to start doing, we can do the same thing. We're talking about businesses, and I say this to my young people all the time. You have to make that transition from being purely a consumer of the content to creating content. Like, that's one of the fastest growing areas of entrepreneurship, content creation, because the big companies are moving away from the traditional advertising and marketing, and they're moving to the everyday content creator to
Yeah,
to sell their products. And so we need to start capitalizing on that, because we're creating content. We're out there, doing
For
all the
free.
free, right?
For free.
And so that is why we need to change our perspective and start being intentional about how we engage with these sites and how we are utilizing our data. And that's why, I have my channel. I have a TikTok channel where I teach data science through dancing, because I said, I looked and I saw these children, for a better word, learning complicated dance steps in seconds. And I
Hmm.
said, if they can learn that, they can learn statistics, they can learn data science, they can learn
yeah,
mathematics, they can learn all the so-called hard subjects. Our children are brilliant.
Brilliant.
just that we need to know how to reach them, how to present them with the subject matter and to give them the tools that they need. And so that's what I do. I have a free course on statistics and other subjects, so we need to take charge of that. We need to be more intentional about how we engage, and we need to move from being just consumers to being creators as well, because that's where I feel like the next wealth generation thing is good. Because speaking about education and informal education, we have YouTube University unofficially, where you can learn any subject on the planet on for free. And there are people who are going on there, learning the content, then utilizing it to
To
make
create something.
and
That,
then generate income. So
that's
we need
it.
to start thinking in those terms. So
That's critical. For me, I could not stop at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I had to go on YouTube University. You know what? I'm in total agreement with you. What you're telling me, and this is what we're going to be talking about all quarter long, is the concept of staying relevant and creating something that we can use to empower our community versus just consuming things for ourselves. When I think about this phone, many people buy this phone 10 times. They buy this phone over and over and over again. They get the Apple 7, then the 8, then the 10, then the 11, then the 12, and they do nothing with the phone but call people. They might as well have gotten a flip phone. They do nothing with this phone. You know what I do with this phone? I take videos, I edit, I create pictures, I create content. I put it on TikTok, I put it on YouTube, I put it on Instagram. This thing that's worth hundreds to thousands of dollars, the reason why it's so expensive is because the technology in this computer can create massive amounts of wealth for our community. But we got to stop using it to just scroll, and we got to use it to be relevant. I love what you were saying about this concept of data. Businesses use our data to make money. It's time for us to use our data to create things to make money as well. Somebody wanted to say
Correct.
something. I think I saw somebody in the like inching. No? Well, you know what? Then we're just gonna close there. We're gonna close there because we're in this thing for an hour. This has been an awesome conversation, and I feel like, listen, it was just to introduce the panel to you guys, right? It was to talk about the wealth gap and the many facets that can help close the wealth gap. I believe education is very, very important, but it does not end there. Financial literacy is critical. Making good decisions with the money that we make, multiple streams of income through entrepreneurship is critical. Kevin was talking a little bit about this earlier in the context of not just making it for ourselves, but creating businesses, small businesses that literally empower communities. You empower communities with small businesses. Big businesses rate the community. Small businesses empower the community, right? So you can't just stop at an education. You gotta get financial literacy. You gotta get entrepreneurship and small business. You gotta budget and know how to manage your wealth. And you gotta live. You gotta not go to the hospital and give all your money to the doctor, right? Health is wealth. So listen, these are the different things that I believe: relevance, health, wealth management, entrepreneurship, real estate. That's gonna close the gap. It really, really can, and it can close the gap in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. I'm quoting scripture. Where's the links that we can share with the audience? Listen, if you go on my Facebook page, you can see the link for the Facebook. But always, you know what? Remember, subscribe to Dr. Maya Byfield on YouTube, and it's the most recent live video. So if you go to the Dr. Maya Byfield on YouTube and go to the most recent live video, I think that's the one that I want to share. I love YouTube shares, but listen, this has been an awesome conversation. It has been a power
Absolutely.
hour. Does anybody have any closing comments before we just close out for tonight?
I'm just really looking forward to learning. And like I said, in spite of like you were saying that, as a scientist, we have gaps in our education when it comes to certain things, as far as whether it's health or finance or money management. Like I am at this age now learning how to manage my finance, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to learning, and sharing and understanding some more about that aspects of it, so that we can kind of make a holistic approach to closing the gap. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's never too late. It's
Yeah.
never too late.
Too late.
All right, guys. Kevin, you want to say something? You said it's too late.
What I was gonna say, it was a great hour, real quick. One of the things that we more is how we can close the wealth gap is by what we do today can transfer to the next generation. What we can transfer to the next generation is a business. We can give that away. We transfer that. We can transfer wealth dollars. No, we can always transfer a job, right? So just like we were saying before, business entrepreneurship is something that you can transfer. So when you talk about closing a wealth gap, we have to talk about the next generation, because what we do
Legacy.
today has and leaving a legacy. A job can't do that. I mean, you can create the
Right.
wealth from the job, but if you can transfer a business to your family, that can give them a boost that other communities have done for many years,
Yep.
many generations.
Absolutely.
So we'll get into that. I want to share the 4 A's to your wealth. The next get on. That's a teaser. That's a
Okay.
teaser.
Yeah.
So
Right. All
we
right.
can talk
Right.
about wealth building. What can cause that wealth not to happen? We talk about
Yeah.
those enemies to your wealth. So I'm excited. I'm
Love
excited.
it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Would you like to? You guys like to share anything? I think Ken, you're on Wednesdays, right?
Yeah. So just want to say quickly, invest in your health. That will promote your wealth. That's one thing. And then also just to kind of touch bases with Kevin, what I just realized is for parents who have businesses, that businesses will fund school kids, which is good. But what can also happen is the business can be provided for the family or the kids. Yes, with the school paying for school, but also they're transferring a business or transferring a tangible wealth, a tangible entity. Yes, school is paid for and everything, but by them having a new business, that puts them above somebody who has to now create something from scratch, even
From
though
scratch. From scratch.
their
Yeah.
degree has been paid for. So that's what I just realized, and that's very important.
Right. But don't you want to promote your don't you have a podcast coming on Wednesdays, or
Oh,
don't you have a weight loss program as well?
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yes, yeah. I'm sorry about that. All right. So I've created a program called the Life Switch Plan. It's a 3-month program that focuses on weight loss and weight management. So participants will be meeting with me over a course of 3 months in a group setting, and I help them create their goals. I help them focus on their plan, and we meet every other week because what we want to focus on is lifestyle change, not necessarily relying on medication. And yes, medication is needed, but how can we mirror or how can we couple lifestyle change with the medication, with your primary care, to the point whereby as you increase in lifestyle change, as you increase in feeling better, as you increase in reducing your stress, you talk to your primary care and they're saying, you know what? Let's reduce your medications because you're doing so well with managing your stress. You're losing weight. So let's reduce your medication. So hopefully we can provide you with that tool to help you make lifestyle changes so that you can get off medication but still be able to live a healthy life.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And of course, like you have a podcast. Um,
Yeah, so I do have a podcast where we talk all about data science, as well as how to build your data science, data analytics portfolio in order to get into that industry. But also I have, my channel, my TikTok, where I teach free data science statistics, because I think that's foundational, and math in general, to kind of remove all of the anxiety that is associated generally with those kinds of subject. And it's mainly, I think, because of the way that it's taught. It's not taught by us in a way that we understand.
communicate.
So if we bring it to the students and meet them where they are, I think it's be more receptive, because I think given the right tools, our kids can be brilliant. So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm trying to facilitate. So yeah, I'm working on that. So thank you all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, Jelani, you have your business, but it's not on podcasting, of course, right, right.
No,
But
no, no,
but
it's not.
I'm just happy that you came on the call with me today.
And I'm happy to be here, and I'm always eager to share different things that I've learned through my personal experiences, not just textbook, but also through my challenges. Because one of the things that I want to make sure people understand is that this is a journey. It does not it does not come easy. So you need to start today, because you will make mistakes. That's going to have to be baked into your expectations. That you're going to get some things right, you're going to get some things wrong. But I always say, uh, I'm never losing. I'm either winning or I'm learning. But you have to be doing something to be able to claim that. Because to me, you're losing when you don't do anything. So I would encourage people to start today. Start yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I hear Jelani needs a podcast. That's what I saw in the comment. All right, and then of course I saw Kevin waving his "How Money Works" book. How? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
we
That's
have
important.
yeah
You
we have
can reach out to him.
we we, we have the How Money Works Stop Being a Sucker book. You definitely want to get if you want to get a copy of that. No obligation for this. Get with Miss Maya. She can get in contact with me if you want a free copy of that book. We just there you go. We just came out with a new book called How Money Works for Women, which talks specifically on different phases and go through characters in the book. It's animated and it was designed so that anyone could, from the age of 8 to the age of 80, could understand the basics of financial literacy. So, like I said, we just came out with a How Money Works for Women book as well. If you want to get your copy, definitely get with me. Get in contact with me, and we can definitely get you a free copy. It is on Amazon, but you get it from me for free. So definitely do that.
Okay.
All right, all right. I'm not giving my book for free. Educate your children. Phenomenal STEM year. Phenomenal STEM prep. Phenomenal STEM camp. And get that book. Phenomenal STEMist. Listen, it's about investment. Invest in your children, and it will have a great, great, great payoff. Thank you guys so much. I'm the phenomenal STEMist, and so are these people with me, and they're coming all fourth quarter long. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a good night.
Take
See
care.
everybody. Yeah,
See
Take
put
care.
everybody just put your link. What you could do is could put your links in the chats of the YouTube channel so that people could see it, because I wasn't able to copy it and put it onto you guys are putting it in the private chat. Put it in the public chat.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't able to copy it, so I mean, I'm able to do it now. So when you rewatch the video, just comment your links in the chat so people can see it. All right, guys,
In on Facebook
Take
or
care.
on YouTube?
on Facebook and YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for the people who watch YouTube, for the people who watch Facebook, this is also on LinkedIn. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night.